Imagine coming home after a 12-hour shift, exhausted, starving, and just wanting to collapse, only to find a stranger's giant SUV blocking your driveway. Now imagine that stranger belongs to the same neighbor who's been treating your property like his personal parking lot for weeks. I live in a quiet little cul-de-sac. Nothing fancy, just the kind of neighborhood where people mow their lawns on Saturdays and wave politely when you pass by. My driveway is just big enough for 2 cars, mine and my husband's. And for the most part, everyone minds their own business. Everyone. Except my neighbor. Let's call him Jack. Jack had this infuriating habit. He treated my driveway like it was his overflow parking lot. The first time it happened, I thought, okay, honest mistake. His brother's car was parked there. He said it would just be a sec. But a week later, it was another car, a friend of his dropping something off. Little excuses, little half smiles. I brushed it off, telling myself not to make things awkward. That was my mistake. I'm a nurse. Some days I come home physically and emotionally drained. My feet aching, my scrubs clinging to me, and all I want is to park, walk inside, and collapse. Instead, I'd turn onto my street and see yet another random car sitting in my driveway like it owned the place. One night, I had 5 heavy grocery bags digging into my hands because Jack's buddy's truck was blocking my driveway. I had to park halfway down the street and lug everything to my door. Every time I confronted Jack, he'd give me that same little smirk, like I was the unreasonable one. "Oh yeah, sorry," he'd say. "They'll be gone soon." It wasn't an apology. It was dismissal. That smirk made my blood boil. Then came Friday night, the night everything changed. I had just finished a brutal 12-hour shift. My body felt like lead. My stomach growled from hunger. I had takeout waiting in the passenger seat, the one small comfort after a day of chaos. I turned onto my street, eyes bleary, only to see it. A massive white SUV parked dead center in my driveway. Not to the side, not slightly off, dead center, like a middle finger in vehicle form. I parked on the curb, staring at it. My hands shook, part exhaustion, part fury. I knocked on Jack's door. No answer. I called him. He finally picked up, his tone maddeningly casual. "Oh yeah," he said. "That's my in-laws. They'll only be there a couple hours. Just park on the street. It's not a big deal." In that moment, something in me snapped. Not a big deal? After all the times I'd swallowed my frustration? After carrying groceries and enduring that smirk? Number. This was the last straw. I knew the law. Where I live, if someone blocks your private driveway, you're allowed to tow immediately. No warning needed. I dialed the tow truck company, my voice surprisingly calm. They said they'd be there in 20 minutes. I sat in my car, eating fries from my takeout bag while watching the tow truck pull up. The sound of the chains clanking as they latched onto that shiny white SUV was the sweetest music I'd heard all week. Within minutes, it was gone. My driveway was clear, my heart was pounding, not from guilt, but from an intoxicating rush of justice. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was in control again. An hour later, there was furious pounding on my door, loud enough to shake it on its hinges. I opened it to find Jack, his face beet red, his in-laws yelling in the background. "You didn't have to take it that far," he shouted. I stood there, calm, takeout in hand, and said, "You told me it wasn't a big deal, so I treated it like it wasn't a big deal." Then, without waiting for a reply, I closed the door. They had to pay nearly $300 to get their car back. And you know what? Since that night, my driveway has stayed crystal clear. Not even for just a sec. The smirk? Gone. The excuses? Gone. My peace? Restored. The satisfaction wasn't about the $300. It was about finally drawing a line, about saying, "You don't get to walk over me." It was about regaining my dignity after being dismissed again and again, and the sound of that tow truck pulling away. That was the sound of karma, of justice, of sweet, sweet revenge. Sometimes standing up for yourself doesn't look like a fight. It looks like quietly calling a tow truck, eating fries, and letting the universe handle the rest. It's amazing how fast people learn boundaries when it hits their wallet. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, and because everyone deserves a little justice now and then.